Good evening, cult members, and welcome to the Pop Culture Cult. I'm Sean.
I'm Janice.
What was the look for? Hi.
Hi.
This is going to be where, it's going to be spoiler-heavy review of Avengers Endgame. We're going to talk about spoilers because I don't know if we can talk about this movie any other way than with just the spoilers.
No.
We tried on the way home and it went badly. So we're going to do a spoiler review. You have been warned. Spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. 3, 2, 1. Spoilers. All right. You've been told. Hi.
So much.
Okay.
There's no way we're even going to get through it all. We need to see it multiple times.
Yeah. We were talking about it on the way home. The last 45 minutes is still fresh in my head because it's the last 45 minutes of the movie, and there's so much stuff ahead of that that's super important.
Right. So, yeah. Let's start the movie crying.
Right. Right. It's not Katie Bishop, and from the, everybody was saying that the trailer was Hawkeye training Katie Bishop, who's his replacement as Hawkeye and stuff. No, he's training his daughter.
Yep.
She goes to pull the arrow out of the thing, and he picks something up, and she disappears, and he turns around, and you can see the ashes falling.
Yep.
This is before the Marvel logo,
Yep.
before anything else.
Yep.
And
oh, by the way, just to remind you, you were a hot mess at the end of the last one,
Right.
and here we still are.
Here we still are, and still, there was people sitting in front of us who, audibly gasped out loud.
Yes, it was a very interactive crowd.
It was a very interactive crowd, which actually made, I think, the experience even better.
Yeah.
Everything they did with the 3 weeks after, and the Captain Marvel's there, and she's the one that helps save Tony and Nebula,
Right.
and that getting them back to Earth.
So
and
did Robert Downey Jr. actually lose all that weight?
Lose all that weight? I don't know.
Because he definitely lost at least some of it because they put implants or dental, because when people lose a lot of weight, they kind of talk funny.
Yeah.
Like they kind of slur, like your tongue's too big for your mouth now or whatever. And he was doing that, which was really weird.
It was weird. So Tony gets home. They make a plan. They find Thanos. They go to Thanos. He's destroyed all the stones. Thor finally gets his second chance and
kills him.
And oh, by the way, all of this is before even the title card. Like the first 10, 15 minutes of the movie is all before the title card.
And a bunch of the stuff you saw in the trailers.
And a ton of the stuff that you saw in the trailers. There's only one shot, I think, that's after, it's in the last 45 minutes. There's only one shot that I can think of.
Was there?
With
okay.
the shield, when he straps the shield back on and he gets back up.
Oh, I don't remember that being
Yeah.
in was it the partial
The
shield?
partial shield, yeah.
I didn't remember that being. Was that in the last trailer? Because I didn't watch that one.
It was in the last trailer.
Okay,
so yeah.
because I didn't watch that one on purpose. I was done watching trailers. Yeah, so the last one that I thought was the shot of everybody walking through the hangar with the Ant-Man-esque suits.
Right,
on.
the quantum
suits. Whatever.
The way they explain the idea of quantum travel and how they've been setting it up all along with the quantum realm and the Ant-Man and the Wasp and all the different things that they kind of been setting up in the last few movies makes sense here. It's not a leap of faith to talk about time travel when you've spent 5 or 6 movies explaining different aspects of how it could actually work.
Right, without using maybe Captain Marvel. Just because she's so powerful, maybe she would. Because I heard that idea floated that because she's so powerful, maybe she's got some way of going back in time or whatever.
Right. And I'm glad they didn't do that aspect. They did the aspect with using the quantum realm from Ant-Man
and that was also an
Wasp.
idea. I did too.
But having that process and make it believable within this universe.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, oh, okay, this actually is a feasible, reasonable explanation of something that they could do, because they set up all the science, and they actually even use science kind of jargon in this issue.
Quantum physics
I'm gonna
is
call
a
it
thing.
an issue. Yeah.
It's a real thing.
And the whole back and forth about the time travel movies and meeting with your former self and everything, like that whole thing
Lots
was
of
hilarious.
Back to the Future references.
Yeah.
And,
there's a ton of normally I'd call them cameos, but characters from other movies who weren't the main characters showing up in this.
Right. So the whole middle, I guess, of the movie, the second act, is them going back and revisiting where they came from, or their past, I guess, and there might be people out there that complain about fan service. I mean, that I hate that term, but
it's not fan service. It makes sense in the story.
No, it totally makes sense. But when it was happening, I was like, people are going to complain that this was fan service. This entire movie was fan service. And if you don't think it was, then you haven't been watching the
last 22 movies
that happened before it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it was all a setup to get to this movie, to wrap it all up and take you back
to close it up. Yeah.
What was it? How many years?
10, well, it's 11 years now.
Yeah. So back to the very beginning.
Yeah.
And
so all of that middle section is just going back and playing scenes that we know at a different angle, and
or
what happens
on
on later. The Loki scene with the Tesseract in the lobby.
Yeah.
Captain America gets on the elevator, much like how he did in Winter Soldier, surrounded by all the same guys actually from the elevator scene from Winter Soldier. And
so I'm expecting the shield fight,
right? And I started giggling as soon as he got in the elevator, and I think the guy next to me was like, "What is he giggling about so much?" I'm like, "This is the scene. Like, they're redoing this scene," but he's trying to take the staff away in that scene, and they're arguing with him a little bit, and he just leans over and says, "Hail Hydra," which is straight from the comic from this last run. Like, Captain America says "Hail Hydra" in the comic, and people had a hissy fit about it.
Yeah.
And that line is amazing. And so when he leans over and says "Hail Hydra," I'm losing my goddamn mind, because A, it's a comic book reference that I understood, but B, it totally fits the narrative of what's going on at this point in time in the timeline of all of the movies.
Right. And they'd made a reference a couple scenes earlier that they were Shield. Tony says, because
Scott Lang
says, "Who are these guys?" And Tony says, "They're Shield." Well, actually, they're Hydra, but we don't know that yet. and then Steve turns around and Steve's not even in. He's over there or whatever, and then turns around and uses it in the elevator 2 scenes later.
Scott Lang even says, "How could you not know they're bad guys? They look like bad guys." It's like such a great line. There was a ton of great one-liners where they're just pointing out the ridiculousness of what had happened before, and also kind of course correcting some different things and different comments and
fixing some holes, especially in those early movies. So one of the things I struggled with in the beginning was Bruce Hulk Banner Brolk. The first scene,
it's jarring the first time you see him.
The first scene, I was like, I don't think I like this. Now I grew to kind of like it. He's almost like the Beast from X-Men.
Right.
Where he's got the glasses on and and the voice, he's got his normal human voice, but he looks
like Mark Ruffalo, just a big version of him and stuff. Yeah. I get that.
Yeah, it was a little. The first, I was like, what is going? I think I actually did that. I was like, what is going on? And then as it went on, I got better.
They kind of explained that in Ragnarok, where he was.
Well, yeah, no, I mean it makes sense because the Hulk completely consumed them for however many years he was on Ragnarok or on whatever that planet was called.
Right.
And then in the next one he can't change back from Bruce. Right. And so now they've worked it out where they're both occupying the body at the same time. But it was just like I was like, just in the beginning I was like, I'm not sure I like this, but it grew on me.
I get that. I want to talk about the stones and the gauntlet itself, and then I want to talk about the original six Avengers. Since we're talking about Bruce, I want to talk about the gauntlet. They go back in time, which was part of the plan, which made complete sense with the time travel and everything. They go back and they figure out where the stones are going to be reasonably close to each other, so they can actually get them in, and then come back to this time, forge a new gauntlet, and then unsnap everybody.
And then resnap?
Well, they called it the decimation. So the decimation? I don't know, whatever. I'm sure the Russos have some name for it or whatever.
Snapping.
But they have New York. They have 3 stones in New York at the same time, and they all split off, and they arrive in the Battle of New York, which is what the set photos we saw, and they used shots from that.
Yeah.
And then they the stones, they take Sweet Rabbit and the dude Thor. We'll get into dude Thor in a minute. Go to get the ether from Asgard, and then there's 2 teams that go to Vormir, and so you get Quill, and you get Red Skull. So all of that is really cool, and they get the gauntlet back together, and Hulk is the only one who really can handle it, and he snaps and brings everybody back.
Right.
And as soon as that happens, we get this barrage because they switched the 2 different nebulas.
Right.
And Thanos is here in the future with a ship. And
past Thanos.
Because timey-wimey and shit. And they blow up Avenger headquarters.
Right.
And then so starts the scene, and we'll get into that scene in a second. But so the original 6 all have a bow on their storyline in this movie.
Yes.
We get Hulk and Banner decide to be one.
Bulk.
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 So we get that wrapped up.
Right.
We get Renner. We get Hawkeye, Jeremy Renner.
Yeah.
After the snapping, gets his family back.
Right.
And then to get the Soul Stone, Renner, Hawkeye, and Black Widow go, and they both try to sacrifice themselves.
Right.
In a pretty awesome fight on the ledge, ledge.
Like they're like, okay, we're gonna go get the Soul Stones, and I was like, how exactly is that gonna work? Because somebody's got to die.
But nobody knew that. The only person who knew that they have to.
Right, was Thanos. And Gamora, but she died.
Right, she's not going to happen.
But no, just in my head, I was like, wait a minute, how's that going to work?
Right, so they have this epic fight, and eventually
Black
Widow sacrifices herself so Clint can get the stone. So her story is her sacrificing herself to bring everyone back, which brings her story full circle around from. Right.
So she's done. Her story is done.
Her story is done. Clint gets his family back, which is always what he always wanted. We get Thor decides that they set up a new Asgard in Norway with the refugees of Asgard. Valkyrie's there. Korg and Meek are there. Thor is straight out the dude. He's drunk all the time and really long, scraggly
and sitting
hair.
in a sweater. Like there's one scene where he's sitting in a recliner chair or whatever. He's got sunglasses on. He's got the sweater on. He's got a drink in his hand. He is totally the dude, and his hair's long.
Dude Thor is amazing. But at the end of the movie, he gives the crown, there's a crown, to Valkyrie to lead the people, and he gets on the Milano. I think it's the Milano.
Yeah, one of them was the Milano. I don't remember if that was the first one or the second one.
But he gets on the ship with the Guardians, and they have a whole like this course. So he finally decides to go on his way and do his own thing. Steve goes back in time on his own to deliver all the stones back into their separate timelines where they're supposed to be. Yep. And he's supposed to be gone for 5 seconds, but it's supposed to take him however long it takes, and it's supposed to only be 5 seconds there at the quantum teleport station, 9 3/4. And he doesn't come back in the 5 seconds, and they turn around, and there's this old man sitting on a bench looking out over the water, and it's old Steve Rogers.
Yep. So he stayed back in time and lived with Peggy and got married.
And the last scene of the movie itself is them dancing. Let's say they finally got their dance.
So he passes off the shield to not Hawkeye,
Falcon.
So many birds.
With the permission of Bucky.
With the permission of Bucky, which makes sense because Bucky is better, but still.
But in the comic, Bucky takes it up. So does Falcon too.
Falcon does too, right? So it's been a toss up for a while as to which one it would be, but it makes sense that it would be Falcon, and so now potentially Falcon movies.
I'm actually interested to see how they handle this because they're going to do a buddy cop or buddy travel show or whatever it is that on the Disney Plus. So it's going to be Bucky and Falcon.
And
so maybe it's Falcon trying to train how to be the new Captain America, which would be kind of cool. But then we have to talk about the big one. Tony, in an attempt to snap all of the bad guys, Thanos and all of those, gets all the stones from one gauntlet to his gauntlet and snaps everybody away, and it kills him.
Right.
And his final line is, "I am Iron Man."
Yep.
And everybody gets their moment. Rhodey, Iron Patriot, gets a moment. Rhodey gets a moment to say goodbye to him. And then Peter comes over and gives him a big hug and like trying to no, you're gonna be okay, you're gonna be okay. And then Pepper's there, and Pepper comes over and kind of grabs Peter and pulls him off the side, and Pepper leans down and says it's okay. You can go, we're gonna be okay. And Tony dies, and like not a dry eye in the house, and that one happens before Steve Rogers. But it makes complete and utter sense at this point in time to have the six of them move on.
Yeah.
And be their own
thing. And I expected that. I think everybody kind of expected that.
I think everybody expected that.
I think the main one that I kind of heard over and over again was that maybe Steve would train the next set of Avengers, which kind of happened in the last one, towards the end.
The Avengers Assemble line, they cut it at the end of Civil War. So he went to go say Avengers Assemble, and he got Avengers and they cut it.
Right.
So then in this one, there's a scene where everybody finally shows up from the snapping in Doctor Strange circles from the different
light circles,
places or whatever, and he just the camera pans over to Rogers and he says Avengers Assemble, and it's like roll credits. Actually, I for a hot second, I thought that's where they were going to roll it, because the music was crescendoing as the two sides came to each other, and where the end of the Avengers music would stop.
Yeah,
it came to that point, and then the lines hit, and then the music continued on. It was like the continuation of the song, and I was like, "Oh, that's amazing!"
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, "Wait, they can't end it here. There's not. It's not over.
Yeah.
There's not." I was thinking the same thing. The music really kind of fooled you at that point.
We're not going to get to everything. We're 20 minutes in, and
it's a 3-hour movie. There's so much. Yeah.
I know what the complaints are going to be. The fan service thing that we talked about. Captain Marvel's not in it enough, but she gets a pretty awesome heroic scene with all the girls.
Yeah,
that's actually
girl power. That was a good one.
Awesome shot. Actually,
I don't think that was long enough, by the way.
No, and actually, I want a still of all of them in the picture, and Peter. Like, it's not Peter's fault. It's not anybody's fault. He was holding onto the gauntlet. Captain Marvel shows up.
Right.
All the girls show up to help Captain Marvel get across the field, and then they so this is awesome epic shot, and all the girls fighting together.
That also leaves an opening for a girl Avengers-esque movie line later.
There's been some talk of wanting to do. Tessa Thompson has kind of been leading that charge of, let's do a girl team up movie, and that would be pretty awesome. The reason I brought up the Captain Marvel stuff is she's in it, but she's not in it a ton. And the way they explain her kind of being in and out is that Earth is not the only place that actually has issues going on,
right?
And not every planet. Most other planets don't have the Avengers to help try to lead the way to get better.
Right.
And so having this idea that she is cosmic and has to go out to other planets makes complete sense. And I understand that, you really love Captain Marvel, and she, like we're saying, girl power, it's awesome and everything. But if you have somebody of that power level, from the jump of the movie ends really quickly.
Right. And it's not her movie. It's not her. She's not an Avenger. This is the Avengers. This is the end of that whole, Iron Man on. Now, she came in, so did Spider-Man, so did Ant-Man, but they weren't Avengers.
Right.
So this is the end of the Avengers. It makes sense that she's in it a little bit, but not a ton, because we just got her.
And she's gonna be her and Peter and Black Panther are gonna be kind of the next wave, the future Avengers as we go forward, because we know we're getting a Doctor Strange 2. We know we're getting another Spider-Man, because that's happening in July.
And a Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Guardians is coming, so they kind of set up that too. They make a point of going to look for younger Gamora, earlier Gamora. I don't know how to explain
Gamora,
her. So they kind of set that up in some visual stuff, and we know things are coming. Nothing is official, and they've said that they won't say anything official until after Far From Home comes out.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting some kind of setup in that movie. The one last thing that I want to talk about is the end post-credit scene.
I don't get it.
I have some theories about what that all means, but I actually want to hear what the true comic deep sweaties in the world think of it. It is an audio cue only, and it's metal banging on metal. It's like a hammer banging on metal. Now, I don't know if it's a homage to Tony.
To Tony when very beginning, when he became Iron Man.
Yeah, when he's building the suit or whatever.
Right. Or are we building some new thing, some new big bad?
Right.
Some new gauntlet,
Are we getting a new gauntlet? Are we getting are we, messing? We've already messed with the timeline, so timeline's all they kind of fixed it. But we know that X-Men are in the umbrella now. We know the Fantastic Four. So is there a reference to there? I mean, so there's a lot of different things. You don't have to stay at this point in time. I'm not going to tell you to stay. You're watching a spoiler version, a spoiler edition of
So
of
you either
Endgame.
stayed or you didn't, and now
Right.
you know what happened at the end.
So let's cut it off here. We're gonna go see it again tomorrow night. So we might do another
In
one
3D.
in 3D. I'm interested to see it in 3D and maybe catch some of the stuff, the Stanley cameo in our theater. I think people missed it. So
Yeah, some people were like, "Oh," but not a lot.
and the stand-up point in clap, standing ovation clap for me was the hammer being called by Steve Rogers.
Yes.
Oh my God. He's swinging it like Thor. He's worthy. And the joke of Thor. See, I told you he was worthy. Like, just amazing. So that's where we're going to leave it for now. Let us know what you guys think in the comments. We could probably go for another 3 hours on this movie. Maybe we'll take notes tomorrow.
No.
Really. Let us know in the comments what you thought of the movie. What do you think the post-credit scene means? And where's the future phase 4 of the Marvel Universe? We know it's coming. We're just waiting for July at this point in time. Like this video. Subscribe to the channel. Help us out on Patreon. You can sign up for $1, and we're working towards a goal there. So help us out. We got all kinds of new stuff. New logos, new music, and all that kind of stuff. And that's because of Patreon.
Thanks to our patrons.
So help us out there. And I guess until tomorrow, where's the mouse? Good night, cult members.